last week there was a meeting held between the ECB, I think Ben Stokes, Baz McCullum, and all of the 18 counties. I don't know if are you across this? Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Whereby the ECB and Ben and Brendan have basically said, look, this is how we want you to go about playing county championship cricket because this is how we want the test team to run, and this is the way in which they basically explain their thinking behind the style of cricket that they want to play. And they've said, look, we're not expecting you not to play for draws and this, that, and the other, but in order for the test team to be successful for a prolonged period, this is how we're going to go about our style of play. And your lads have got a much better chance of actually being recognised for that if they go about their cricket in the way in which we want them to. Do we think that's a positive? Do we think that's a negative? Eugene?
Don't know. I genuinely don't know. Why are they doing it is my question. Is it because there's too much cricket?
No, I think what they're doing is saying, look, this is the way in which we're going to approach Test cricket. If your lads are going to go and block the schnauzer off it for 80 overs a day in order to try and accumulate points through the more traditional style of playing catch cricket, which isn't really drawing anything out of the ordinary in terms of fans, then you've got the opportunity to buy into this. Now, I guess the first question is that right that they're going to them and trying to impress their vision onto the 18 counties, or should they have just left well alone and then picked from the pool that they've got? What do we think about that?
From my perspective, you can't influence somebody's style of cricket by trying to impress something upon them. Each person plays cricket in different regions, whether it's Test cricket, whether it's T20 cricket, and I'll quickly focus on the SA20. The conditions in the SA20 are very seamer friendly, and you were talking about the state of the pitches. Well, some of those bowlers didn't have to use the pitches because the conditions enabled them to swing the ball, much as they do in England. So from my perspective, it's got nothing to do with the pitch. It's got to do with the way they play. So therefore, they have to be a little bit more circumspect until the shine of the ball is no longer there. And the ball is then able to be crushed to all parts of the ground by the lower order, if we can call it that. The same goes for Test cricket. You have to have, in different conditions, different abilities to be able to succeed. And if Ben Stokes and Baz McCullum are asking the county cricketers in the beginning of April to go out and score 600 runs in a day or 400, 500 runs in a day, it's not realistic because the conditions don't suit. So again, what I find ironic about it is we had a conversation about 6 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, where they said, you know what, we're done with meetings. And yet they just held a meeting to go and influence other people. And I personally don't like doing that sort of thing. I think people should do what they do. And if they happen to fit into the plans of the England side, then great. Because, good example, Rehan Ahmed, who played in the Pakistan series, he's not in the squad to go to the next series, is he not? So he's a fit for purpose player that plays in a certain way that is picked for a certain style of cricket. Now, there's going to be other players that are going to be brought in with the same vision. You're more suitable to playing at XYZ. And you know what? The Aussies have been really good at that. Mark Boland. Scott Boland, sorry. What did I say? Mark Boland. Yeah, Scott Boland. Mark Boland's a good friend of mine from school.
Isn't he good at cricket?
Yeah, he wasn't good at cricket. Scott Boland, exactly that. So, no, I don't think asking for that to happen is a good idea.
I think everyone seems to think this England methodology is to whack it as far as you can. And I don't. I think it's more subtle than that. I think you look at the way they played in Pakistan. It's how aggressive can we be in order to give us the best chance of a result. And I think that is the mindset that people want to change. I don't think they're asking people to change necessarily ways of playing or how people hit the ball or whatever. I think they're just asking from a generally more positive mindset. And I think it's for two reasons. One, because the players that England have got at the minute perform best when that is the way that they need to play, which is fine. And so the captain wants people to play that way, so he's going to pick it, and the coach wants them to play that way. So yeah, you can say to counties all you like, look, we want you to play this way, because when guys come down to play county cricket, they're just going to, if Kent, for example, I'll pick Kent out at random, decide they want to play block it, Zach Crawley isn't going to be allowed to go and play for them. It's just not going to happen. If Surrey decide they're going to, and not that they will, but Ollie Pope's not going to be allowed to go and play for them. you can go through the whole list of whether they're small counties, big counties, whatever it is, which I support. If you go back to the New Zealand style of rugby, the contracts are held with New Zealand rugby teams, and they then go down and go, right, this is how we want you to play, to the point where they will pick players. They will tell clubs to pick players in certain positions because it suits best New Zealand rugby. Now, does that mean ECB are going to say to Notts, we want Ben Duckett opening the bow? I don't know. And this is how we'd like you to play. But I think it's a mentality thing. I also think the ECB are being quite coy about it, and they've used whether they're using Ben Stokes and Brandon McCullum to try and promote a way of playing in order to keep the cash cow that is Test cricket in this country coming in, because they will have seen a drop off. They will, but there's a reason why in the last few years you've been able to get tickets for series at £25 a day, whereas a few years ago it was £50, £60, £70 a day, and we've seen with the Ashes this year it's up again. Like they know that if England keep playing this brand of cricket, they'll get money in. So, do I think they should say it? I think the game's bigger than any one county, and I think if Test cricket is going to survive, like we spoke about last week, it's got to go further than just 11 blokes who play for England teeing off and doing that. It's got to be something that goes through the game. And yes, England can force it on other countries by winning games that way. Like we talk about Barbara Azam and Tim South and those things. But they can have a direct impact on, through county cricket, of how long this lasts. And so I think it's perfectly fair. At the end of the day, the ECB better keep all these clubs afloat. This is what people don't think about. It's all and good a chairman from, let's use a big county, Warwickshire, going, well, you can't tell us how to play. Oh, all right. Well, here's your £5 million. They're small businesses. County cricket it's like semi-non-league to League Two football. They are small businesses with small turnover who are massively reliant on the ECB. And so if the ECB want to go, well, condition of us, you getting this money, so you play this way, good on them. They want to improve cricket in this country. It's on to the ECB. It's not on to Fred Barlow who made a few quid selling tractors and decided to become chairman of a club, going, oh, yes, but this is where I like to come on a Sunday and sit with my dog and my apples and all that. Piss off. I've had a conversation with my mum before about you going into John Lewis once every 3 months doesn't keep John Lewis afloat. So the ECB have got to try and find a way. And if that's exciting cricket.
The ECB are then going to have to invest in stadiums that are covered. Because how can grounds people, so curators of pitches, how can they influence and make pitches?
I'm not saying it's not a flawed plan. And yeah, there is a lot of things that are going to have to go into it, whether that's timeframes of playing, whether that's, the easiest one that everyone can say, and Kevin Peterson has banged on about it loads of times, is you franchise the cricket. So you play less of it, but you play it at a better standard. And I think county cricket is the only group where people will stand there and go, well, that won't work.
Yeah. Remind me, who were we talking to earlier in one of the podcasts where he's a spinner, and basically he said, yeah, look, there's no point in me doing anything in April. I'm just going to stand there and bat. Who was that?
So But again, they've got it all random. I mean, we could have a whole rant about how they've got it right and wrong and everything else, but that's just on this particular issue. That's what they want people to do. They're the ones that give them the money. Have they got a right to say it? Absolutely.